Welcome here to an all-new edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a special coming to you from inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. And we're very happy to be here with you inside of these Great Lakes Honda City studios as I am here picture in picture with Scottie Rodgers of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, the Vice President of Communications of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, as we are inside of the 2024-25 season of the college football playoff, the first ever expanded college football playoff to 12 teams. We know that for the last decade we've seen 4 teams, and we've seen the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic in rotation, in as a semi and then out as a New Year's Six and then back in as a semi. Well, now inside of the new format of the 12-team playoff, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic will always be on the road to the national champion, either as a quarterfinal game or a semifinal game, this year being in the semifinals. And with that being said, Scottie Rodgers of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is here with me. Scottie, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing today?
Doing very well, and a good morning to you as we are here on the day of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. So we are previewing it, going right into it here within the 24 hours, less than 24 hours of the game being played later on tonight, 6:30 p.m. your time here in Texas for everybody watching, and at 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast. And Scottie, for you to get to this moment, you've had to be a little bit more patient than in other years as you're the semifinal round this year. What can you say about having to watch the college football playoff and wait to see what teams you are going to get, as opposed to the past where you knew the teams going into it?
You know, as we sit here on Friday on game day, it's been a wild week. Get our teams, learn of our teams on the first, and it really became this sprint for them to come in town a couple of days ago on Wednesday, the 8th. And just all the processing of the information and the things we do, we basically had to jam pack everything that we would normally do in a 2.5, 3 week span into a 4-ish 5 day span. And and this is the first time us doing it. So a lot of challenges, a lot of lessons learned, a lot of things that we'll do better the next time around, because again, all of this was new to us. But we've gotten to this point and we're ready for a great game tonight.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, going through this process, I mean, you and I have talked about the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic in the past and all the events that you do and the different things you plan for and the preparation of it. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is not simply a game. It is an event. It is typically a week of different things going on. So how have you adjusted when it comes to the schedule, when it comes to fan events, as well as the media hospitality and the teams and whatnot? How has your schedule adjusted to meet this semifinal round of the college football playoff?
We've just got a tighter schedule. Media came in town mostly on Wednesday, and so Wednesday, Thursday, and game day here today. Our fan events last night was Cotton Bowl Live presented by Dr. Pepper, and today will be the Fan Fest. One of the things we had done in our previous format was our Fan Fest. Our Goodyear Hull Up Fan Fest was a 2 day event. Well, with our game being on Friday in January 10th, knowing that life is back to normal, people are back at work, kids are back in school, we wanted to focus on having a great event, so we scaled it back from a 2 day event to a 1 day event. Opens at 3:30 today. Really poured into the activities and events, and the highlight of the whole thing is DJ Diesel. Most people know him as Shaquille O'Neal, performing from 4:30 to 5:30 in the West Plaza portion of the Goodyear Hull Up Fan Fest. And that's some of the things that we're doing to really amplify our fan experience. We're going to do that with the Huddle Up Fan Fest. We're going to do that in the game. And then after the game tonight, we will have a drone show. Can head out to the East Plaza of AT&T Stadium and check out what we think is going to be college athletics' biggest drone show.
Yeah, in the drone side of things, obviously, I mean, I've spent some time working at Walt Disney World over the years and go down there and have a show that we do in coverage of Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and that being a Do Diz with Dan. So I've seen some of their drone shows that they've had and different things that they've done in the skies. We've seen it done as well with Marvel doing different things there when it comes to their characters and whatnot. Why was it important for you to implement a drone show for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic festivities, and just what this unique type of show means technologically as we've started to see them really happen all over the country?
Well, we've always tried to do something great, especially when we're hosting a college football playoff semifinal. We've done fireworks shows and things like this, and this is just the evolution. 3 years ago, 6 years ago, it's fireworks shows. Now it's drone shows. So it's really taking that same celebratory concept and that something to really cap off the day, the event, in a way that is in 2025 terms, and a drone show is a great way to do that. So, the technology has grown, the technology has changed, the technology has become more accessible to be able to bring it to an event like ours. So it's really important that we do those types of things to bring add that flavor. I always use the analogy of gumbo. Our game is a good pot of gumbo. We got to put a lot of different ingredients in it to make it a great event, and the drone show is let's call it the hot sauce in that gumbo, to spice it up a little bit and give it that kick right there at the end.
And you talk about gumbo, and I know gumbo very well from being down in New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina relief back in 2006. We know that during this bowl season for the All-State Sugar Bowl, we had an unfortunate, unprecedented, hopefully never again moment of safety. Did you have to take, as the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic team, different precautions now after seeing what happened at the All-State Sugar Bowl and the tragedy there? How did you kind of reflect on that? And did you have to change up anything in how you're going to handle these different events as well as game day today?
Well, first and foremost, we sent our condolences and our thoughts and prayers to the good folks in New Orleans and our friends at the All-State Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I say amazingly tough thing to deal with, at any time, and especially around a major event like their bowl game. So first and foremost, we're praying for the families affected, checking on our friends, making sure they're okay, our colleagues, making sure they're okay. So that was part one, and then the second part of that was us getting with our local authorities, with the officials at AT&T Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys, Arlington Police, Fire, and other authorities in the city, and having conversations, and those conversations were had. And the Arlington Police Department did a wonderful job in communicating to the media on that Friday what some of the plans and some of the conversations. When it comes to something like this, everybody wants to know, but one part about safety, Dan, you got to remember, is that to keep people safe, you can't tell them everything you're doing.
Yeah.
So you be able to let people know that things are happening, and when you don't say exactly what's happening, people think you're not doing anything, but it's really the exact opposite. The less we say, the more we're probably doing, to be totally honest with you. And it's really important to make sure that people know that things are happening, conversations were happening, and give some generalities about what's going on, but really keep what is happening, in the places that it need to be, so that it can happen the way that it should, and keep everybody safe.
Yeah, and I love that you said that the less we say, the more we're doing is definitely something that makes a whole lot of sense to me. And I know that, and like you said, and I want to send my love as well to everyone in New Orleans, a fantastic city. When they were hit with Hurricane Katrina, the houses that we worked on, I was part of a team that went in on Operation Helping Hands to go and bring houses down to their studs, get all the stuff out of there, all the mold and different things out, and allow the insurance companies to go in and take a look at them. We were supposed to salvage anything that we could, and in multiple houses, the things that remained were crosses, were pictures of Mary, were little, very, very thin newspaper clippings of angels. and different signs that said God is with us or bless this home. So I know that you and I talk about faith and we talk about God a lot, Scottie. And I can tell you that the city of New Orleans not only was protected by God in a time where people thought they weren't, but I know that God's healing hand is on them today. And I know He's with them as always. And I appreciate the fact that you said your kind words to them. I expect nothing less from you. And to the All-State Sugar Bowl, we know it's not just one moment in time, it's something that we now work with through time. So to the city of New Orleans, God bless you. I appreciate you. I miss you. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And I love the fact that this bowl connection is here. And just to speak a little bit deeper on that, Scottie, not just in times like this, but in general, how the New Year's Six work together. Now your quarterfinals and semifinals in rotation. You're always on the road to the national champion, as I said. But the All-State Sugar Bowl, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, the Capital One Orange Bowl, we have the Rose Bowl as well as the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl, Verbo Fiesta Bowl, all working together in this greater scheme of what the college football playoff is now and is moving forward. How do the bowls work together? How do you as a team kind of take from each other kind of work together on ideas and implementing different things? And with an expanded playoff, is there more conversation? Are there more meetings of the heads of these bowl games to make sure that everybody's on the same page?
Well, I want to go back to a little bit when we were talking about New Orleans, because I actually lived in New Orleans for 4 years, and for a portion of my time there, I worked for the Sun Belt Conference. So my office was inside of the Superdome. So I tell people all the time, when you live in New Orleans, it kind of gets in your bloodstream a little bit, and it's just a wonderful place. The city and everybody around it is probably the most resilient group of people, organizations, community leaders, civic leaders that I've seen in one area, because they unfortunately seems like always dealing with some tragedy of some type. But man, they come together, they
Yeah.
support each other, they rally every time, and they get better every time. So that's just something that I just love about that area and love about New Orleans and parts of Louisiana. I'm an Alabama native. So I know that about that a little bit, but once you live there and you see it all day, every day, you get a deeper appreciation and understanding for it. But talking about the New Year's Six, which that's a term that I think we're really floating away from a little bit, because now we're really truly CFP bowls
Yeah.
in this new playoff. And yes, over the past year, a lot more conversation, a lot more information sharing, trying to come together. We try to come together across the board with what we're doing as being CFP playoff games. And we also even break it down, our friends at the Orange Bowl, and my colleague in particular, Mike Leota, who sits in my chair for that game. We're always sharing information because we're always semifinals at the same time. So while we're going to do our stuff differently, we try to do the best that we possibly can to share some things, and try to be somewhat on the same page on things, whether it's operationally what we do from a media operations side, if it's a credentialing situation, if it's an access situation. We definitely try to do that across the games that are similar, whether you're a semifinal the same year, you're a quarterfinal the same year. I know our quarterfinal friends had to work through that this year. So I really look forward to learning more about what happened from the quarterfinal perspective, because it's different than the semifinal perspective. And we're going to have some lessons that we can share about our semifinal perspective, and I know they're going to have theirs about the quarterfinal perspective. So I'm looking forward to having some great conversation off season to get into all that. And we all got a lot of lessons learned, and we'll be able to apply those to make this even better in year two of the expanded 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I mean, and essentially, like you said, going away from the New Year's Six term because you're all in the college football playoff now. Is it the CFP Six? Is there a name for it yet?
No, we just call it the CFP Bowls. I don't think there's going to be any particular moniker. I've just been using that we are a CFP Bowl game, because, frankly, because our games are not going to be around New Year's anymore. If you're going to be a semifinal like our games is this year, the Orange Bowl is on the 9th, and we're sitting here on January 10th.
Yeah, and like you said, similar but different, right? Because the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, like you said, the secret sauce, the gumbo that you have, a lot of different ingredients. How much of it is similar and how much of it is different in the sense of how involved is the college football playoff? How their crew, those that work within the confines of the college football playoff, are they coming into each bowl? They working with you at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and saying we need X, Y, and Z, or do they kind of hands off say this is the template, this is what we obviously have to have media wise, fan wise, for locker rooms and post game press conference and pregame and whatnot? Do they kind of give you parameters and are hands off, or are they with your team all the way through?
It's a little bit more of the parameters and hands off. There's obviously coordination, collaboration, consultation that happens. But generally speaking, we run our game under the direction of the parameters, policies, and procedures that the college football playoff have set forward. And that's really how we've been able to do it. And yes, we've adjusted some things and we've talked about how they need to adjust some of the policies from the CFP side to better fit what they actually want to do. Because we are a little bit more on the ground with what we're doing with our bowl game and the connectivity with the teams, with the media operations, with the game operations, with the hospitality. So I think it's important for us to continue to collaborate and share on that. So it's been good. It's been good information that we've gotten from them and information they've shared with us. So it's just a big collaboration, really, just across the board.
Yeah, I spoke with some inside of the quarterfinal round when we look at those bowl games, and they said they might be heading out to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic because they wanted to pick your brain and kind of get your thoughts on this. And I know you made mention of we're a semifinal this year, so we can give information to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals can let us know how it was in their world because we're going to be a quarterfinal next year. This is the first year of the expanded playoff. There's going to be kinks. There's going to be things to work through. Is there anything that you and your team has found in this initial year of the expanded 12-team playoff that you've circled and said, okay, these are certain areas that we've really had to work through and try to understand? So is there an area or two in the expansion of the playoff that you think has been kind of a place that, as we move forward, is something that you want to look at even deeper?
I don't know if I can get into specific at this moment. It's still kind of in the moment right now. But I think anything that we can do to streamline our processes because the time to execute some things is a lot shorter. So we need to make sure from our what are we doing in the information gathering stage to be more efficient to turn that information into the things that we need to execute. And I think that is where we sit probably in a very broad brush because if we can spend less time getting the information to be able to execute, we can spend more times on other things to expand the look and feel of the event, the fan experience for the event, the team experience for the event. So those are the types of things that we want to be able to focus on and not get so much caught up in the minutia of some of the things that you have to do. But if we can do them more efficiently than we did this past year, that's just going to help us.
Has, in your mind, as we're here on game day, has the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and everything that you prepared for fans, for the media, for the teams, for the community, do you feel that you've still gotten to be yourself, that secret sauce has been preserved and is still what it needs to be for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic? Because you and I spoke months ago going into this thing of what is this going to look like and what is it going to feel like, and the scheduling is obviously going to change some things around. I know you said doing more with less time, but do you feel that you've been able to keep the things that you wanted to keep and some of those pillars and pieces that you think are important to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic? Because you still want to stand out on your own, you still want to be original, you still want to be unique. Do you feel that the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic has been able to provide that opportunity, provide that secret sauce in this new format?
We've had to adjust. There's no doubt about it. But look, we're always going to be us. We're going to always do what we do. And we're going to do it how we do it. And we're going to do it within the parameters and around the parameters that are outlined in it. And, we've been doing this thing a long time. So we only know one thing to do, and that's to be us. And that's to bring that big Texas hospitality, that big North Texas hospitality, that big Cotton Bowl Classic hospitality, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
Scottie Rodgers here with us, the Vice President of Communications of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, a semifinal game inside of the 2024-25 College Football Playoff. Scottie, you were watching to see who your teams were going to be because, like I said, as opposed to previous years when you knew and it was announced by the College Football Playoff Committee, this time around we had to see. Because you're a semifinal game, you watched the first round where Texas took care of Clemson, then they faced Arizona State, and I was on site for that at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Texas wins that game and becomes one half of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. On the other side, we see Tennessee and Ohio State. Ohio State plays that home game in the first round, gets the victory, moves on to face off against Oregon for the second time this season. They're both Big Ten teams, even though it still feels like the Big Ten and the Pac going up against each other. Ohio State wins that game in the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential, and they become the other half of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. So going through this in round one and in the quarterfinal, are you a fan? Are you sitting there thinking about the logistics of it? And when your team is kind of coming together for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, are you preparing when it's Texas, Arizona State, Ohio State, Oregon, are you preparing that far out and saying we're going to need to be ready for all four of these teams before you get down to two?
Absolutely. We had to do a lot of work. We had the schools that were all six that were projected to be in our game when the bracket was announced came in town shortly after the bracket was announced and did site visits so that they can learn about the city. We could learn about them and get prepared. There was some information sharing that took place behind the scenes to be prepared because you just can't win the game and turn on the switch and everything just happens. You have to have some pre-planning in this, and we did that with all the teams that were in our side of the bracket to get prepared for what was going to happen on for us January 1st because the two games of the triple header, the first two games of the triple header on the first were the two that fed into our game. So we were all in position. There was some information sharing that had happened before that. And that day of, I mean, within minutes after the game's over, you're sending emails or you might be getting emails or information was being shared and phone calls were being had because you needed to start that process because that was January 1st. And here, our teams arrived on January 8th. You can do that math. There's not a lot of time between those days to make that happen. So, in our games, you're getting back late on the first and then you're talking about the second. And you're planning to come here on the 8th, so you really got the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh to pull it all together with everything that's happening to be ready to play in this game on today, January 10th. By the way, which is my birthday, so which is just wild. Yeah, it was a lot of lessons learned, like I said before, and hopefully we can learn from those. And be better next year and do it more efficiently and do it more where we do some things and hopefully it's easier on the teams. We want to continue to make this process the best that it can be so that we can execute this at the highest level for everybody involved.
And Scottie, you and I talked about this months ago that this was going to be on your birthday. So first and foremost, a happy birthday here on January 10th to you. I know that you're a very young 24, I think it is this year. So a happy birthday.
Like
But what'd you say?
I said something like that.
Yeah, so a happy birthday to you today. I know you said you're in the thick of things. You're going to be doing a million different things and running around. And I've been on site for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic before. And thanks to the grace of God and to you and your team, I will be back there again for the game tonight. But for you, when you look at this being your birthday, I know that you're a humble person. I know that you defer to other people. I know that you're a giving person. But is there anything that will be done for you? Can we expect that at halftime in the press room, we're going to bring you upstairs and have cake in the press room for you? I mean, are we doing something for Scottie for your birthday?
No, we don't need to do all that. What I want to make sure happen today is that everybody have a great game from all their perspectives, whether it's the teams, whether it's the media, whether it's the folks that's working for us. Let's just have some fun today doing what we do best. And sometime here in whether it's the weekend or the next weekend or some other time, I'll have some birthday celebratory things that will involve Maybe it involved cake or cupcakes or something. I don't know. The funny thing is that Michael Conradi on our staff, yesterday was his birthday. Dwayne Lewis, one of our key media volunteers, who's a senior associate AD at UT Arlington, tomorrow's his birthday. So and there's a couple more sprinkled around there too. So it's very cool that this is happening today. But you know what? In all honesty, today is a work day. It's the biggest work day of the year. It can't be about me. I wouldn't want it to be that way at all. There's so much that's happening, and that's just not. This is not the time. I can celebrate a birthday at a later time and still get the joy from it, even though it's not on the actual day. So I'm just looking forward to having some fun, doing the great work we got to do today, and enjoying what will be a great 89th Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
Well, I'm going to wish you a happy birthday, and I'm going to celebrate today. And I look forward to seeing you here on your birthday. And I'm very happy to have crossed paths with you, and thank God for that day that we got to cross paths with each other, because you've been a tremendous human being in my life. And like you said, we have a tremendous game coming up tonight. Are you spoiled being at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, and I believe less than 2 hours away, Austin, Texas? So are you spoiled in seeing this whole thing? You've had to be patient more so than other years, of who's going to be playing in the game. Like we talked about, all 6 teams came and toured your grounds and figured out the logistics of everything, because everyone had to be prepared for it. But you get the team from Texas, and Texas is a big state, but Austin's not too far away. Your thoughts on having one half of this college football playoff be on the Texas side of things? And I would imagine that the community down in the Lone Star State had to be pretty happy about that.
Well, look, I mean, Texas is a team that's played in our game more than any other team in the history of our game. This is their 23rd appearance in our game. So, they have a very, very long history of playing our game. They also haven't been in our game in a very long time, over 20 years. So, the combination of that, the distance, as you mentioned, from Austin to Arlington, and you add to the fact that we're playing a college football playoff semifinal. You add to the fact that we're playing a team in Ohio State who played in our game last year, didn't have the result they wanted last year for sure. And you got 2 major, big time, historic, storied programs playing in a game that is sitting alone by itself. It's the last college football game. It's the penultimate. It's the last college football game before the CFP National Championship. You bring all those factors into play, it's big. It's just big. And it's definitely proven that through all the conversations and the emails and the texts and the phone calls and the media coverage that is happening and will happen today and through the weekend and into next week as it goes on. And the team that wins our game will be our champion, and we'll go get a chance to play for the national championship. So we'll want to celebrate that team as now part of our Cotton Bowl Classic family, and then see what happens in Atlanta on January 20th.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, this is going to give us 50% of who's playing for the national championship, whoever wins this game between Ohio State and Texas. You said Texas has played in your bowl game the most, more than any other school, 23 times, and this being year 89 for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And Ohio State was there last year, and Texas hasn't been there in a long time. So just what that means to you to look at that juxtaposition of having a team in Texas that is synonymous throughout history in a lot of ways with the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic coming back, and then having Ohio State, who you just saw 5 seconds ago, and here they are again.
It's simple. This is a massive matchup. It's got all the storylines that you want to have, and from the types of people that will be around to the teams and what they've done this season. It's just a massive matchup, and if you're not a college football fan, you need to watch this game on Friday night. Here tonight, Friday night lights. You need to watch it because it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. And we're just excited for it.
Yeah, there's a ton of talent that we have here. We got 1,000 yard back on Texas side. We have rushers on Ohio State, not too far from 1,000 yards. We have 1,000 yard receiver on Ohio State side, and we have close to 1,000 yard receiver and a guy who helped preserve the Texas's run to this game, which is Golden in overtime, who's almost to 1,000. We have Quinn Ewers, we have Will Howard, we have two defenses that are going to try and do different things here. We've seen defense show up for Texas this season. We've seen Ohio State's defense show up recently. Texas has showed up in the first part of the game in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, then kind of disappeared a little bit, then came back in the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential. We saw Ohio State just wreak havoc offensively and defensively take care of business. Like you said, all the storylines are here. For you being a football fan and a sports fan in general, and having the Dallas Cowboys right there at AT&T Stadium, and like you said, having a good relationship with Jerry Jones and his family and everybody there, what does this game do for you? Like you said, even a non-sports fan, a non-football fan should watch with everything that's coming into it. Could you ask for a better game with the way these teams have been playing? You got a double overtime victory by Texas on an interception that ends the game, and then you got Ohio State playing Oregon, who they lost to by a point, and then beating them by 20 and just having such a dominant performance over them. So you got an instant classic with Texas and Arizona State, and you have a dominant performance with Ohio State over Oregon. Can you ask for a better moment than this moment?
No, you just can't. It just can't. This is I can't say it in too many other different ways.
Yeah.
It's just big. It's just really, really big. And what's going to happen later today is just going to be big. It's going to be historic. Obviously, for all the things that we know and already talked about. So let's play some football, man. Let's go listen. Let's go listen. Let's go watch. Let's go feel. Let's go really be a part of something that people will be talking about for years and years to come. This is the first time around. This is a big game for us. It's got all the storylines like you just said.
Yeah.
It's just big, and there's no other way to say it. And I think a game of this magnitude needs to be appreciated, enjoyed, and just be able to bask in the excitement of it. And that's, through all the work and through all the things that will happen, you got to take some time to appreciate that. And that's what we'll try to do as we count down these last few hours before kickoff.
Yeah, and just a couple final notes here, Scotty. One of them being the media hospitality. I have to shout it out. I've been talking about the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic media hospitality now for a while, and telling people that I felt like a VIP. I felt like I was a player that was at this thing. The way that you guys put together your media hospitality and what it's like. And, people think, okay, media hospitality, like how are you being fed during the game, pregame stuff and whatnot. You have post-game this year. I've been to the post-game media hospitality before, and just from the couches and the area set up to the TVs that are there to all kind of the intimate settings that you have to the games that you can play to the snack area to the full buffet. I want to shout that out, and I want to thank you and your team at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, because what the fans don't see is how well we're treated in the media, and I can tell you that it was second to none, that I felt like I was in some VIP party. So I do want to say thank you for something that people don't see on camera.
Well, for us, everybody's a VIP that is going to be a part of our game, and we want to treat them as such. And that's what we do, and that's part of our secret sauce. And we don't give all the details of our secret sauce, but we it's part of our secret sauce, and we take great pride into it. And we've been doing it this way for a number of years, and we're going to definitely continue to do so as we move forward in this next chapter of what our game is going to be. So we're going to continue to keep doing that, and I think that's really important for us, because whether you're going to be here for 2 or 3 days or you're going to be here for 5, 6, 7 days, we're going to be able to do it. We got to streamline it because of the schedule, but that doesn't mean we still can't bring that quality that we want to, and frankly, find some ways to even ratchet it up even more so than what we have done in the past. So we are excited about what we have done, and yes, after the game tonight, we'll have some time, hopefully, to have some hospitality and people can say their goodbyes and fellowship a little bit before they hit the road and head back to their respective homes and continue to move forward here in 2025.
And to the I don't know how much you can give away on this, but as the game is in just a few hours, the ticket sales, are we looking at an Ohio State fan base that is going to be coming out and trying to make this thing loud on their side and make it feel like it is a Midwest game? Or are we looking at a side with Texas and the fact that, like I said, they're not too far away? Did those Longhorns say, no, we're going to get the lion's share of these tickets? We're going to be calling on every single phone line we possibly can. What do tickets look like for this as far as what we can expect?
I'm not 100% sure, but look, Ohio State is a big, proud fan base. They have a lot of fans all over this country. We know about Texas. I don't even have to talk about Texas here in the state of Texas. There's going to be a lot of every fan in this game. And I don't know what it's going to be as far as split or any of that thing, but I can tell you this: it's been hard to get a ticket. If you don't have one, you probably can't find one uh, today. So we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be loud. It's going to be loud, 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 and it's going to be awesome. And that's what we want. That's what everybody wants. That's what every sporting event needs to have. Those that can have crowds, of course. That's what they need to have. Loud, excitement, pageantry,
Yeah.
joy, and then you wrap all that into the high level of performance that will happen on the field. It's a spectacle. It's an event. It's an experience, and I'm ready to go be a part of that experience.
Yeah. So the most important thing that I have for you as a final note, Scottie, is giving back to the community. You and I have talked about the importance of this, the importance of caring about the community that's around you for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and for people to understand that everything that you do all year round is to prepare for this moment, which is simply not one game. It is a lot of different things over a period of time to give back, to pay it forward, and to make sure that not only do you have a great product on the field, but that the community around AT&T Stadium and this Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is rising as well. So I would love for our final note to be the most important note, which is what the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is doing to give back.
This game helps us create an economic impact in direct and indirect in the neighborhood of $100 million in the North Texas community. That then allows us to generate dollars that we can have, that we can pump into our Cotton Bowl Foundation, and then through the foundation, we can give back to the community through the number of different initiatives that we do, whether it's our grants program, whether it's our collaboration with the CFP Foundation for Big Day for Teachers and Big Day for Teachers and Extra Yard for Teachers, through other initiatives and opportunities that we get to give money. Our Thanksgiving mega mobile market that we do with Tarrant Area Food Bank. Those are the types of things this game allows us and affords us to be able to have money. Last year, we were able to give $75,000 to Penn State to create the Wally Triplet Football Development Program to celebrate a very poignant moment in the history of our game with the first two black players in Wally Triplet and Diddy Hoggart. That was not a great moment in time on the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. But 75 years later, and before that, but on that 75th anniversary, we took an opportunity to take a negative and turn it into a positive and create a legacy at Penn State. And that all of that happens through the dollars that we can generate through our bowl game. And tonight. So that's what's really important about this. And people need to understand that that ticket that you paid for is not just for you to watch a football game. It will also ultimately, some of those dollars, a lot of those dollars that are generated from that goes right back into the community here in North Texas and beyond in many ways. And that's really important. I think I appreciate you giving me time to talk about that a little bit because I think people get so caught up on the game and the ticket price and all this, that, and the other. And yes, that's important things to talk about. I'm not dismissing it, but I think it's important to know that for us in particular, we want to make sure that people understand those dollars actually go somewhere to help somebody in need in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. So that's really important for us. And the more we can continue to do, the more we can do. And I know we're continually trying to find ways in which we can do more. Um, and we're going to definitely do that. And this expanded playoff may create opportunities for us to do it. And we're definitely going to find those opportunities and continue to be impactful to the people who serve, support, and love the game of college football.
That coming here from Scottie Rodgers, the Vice President of Communications of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic in the 2024-25 season, a semifinal piece of the college football playoff in the historic first year of the 12-team playoffs. So as we make history, Scottie and I are less than 10 hours away from being at AT&T Stadium to make this history. I'm going to let him go and run around and do what he does best. I'm going to get ready with these broadcasting pipes to do my thing. And Scottie, as always, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you giving so much of that time to the show here on Wake Up Call inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. I thank you and your entire team for their tireless efforts of putting on such a wonderful event that is an event within a bunch of events that are going on here this week for the wonderful community of North Texas inside of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And I can't wait for tonight. So, in your words, let's play some football.
Absolutely. I got to run here now, but I'll see you here in a little bit. Take care.